that's attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Hello and good evening. Welcome to Plannercraft. Today I'm going to be taking you through how to extend your photos into your layout, which is something that you might want to do if you've got a very crowded scene and you don't want to have people in shot, or if you want to edit somebody out of a photo. This is a good way of doing it. So where was I?
Start again.
So I've already sketched the background for my layout and I've laid my photo out roughly, and what I've done is I've done a little dot in each corner of the photo so that our paint will actually continue a little bit just under that space, and then when we come to stick our photo down we won't end up with a halo around it anywhere. And I've done the same for these little photos down the side. I also have some other photos that I have printed out ready just in case by the time I finish my layout the colours shifted slightly. The photos that I've printed have been done on a laser printer, and that is a much better idea because they will actually be a bit more water resistant than an inkjet print. So I'm going to put my photo up to the side so I can reference it for colours. And I've already gone through and created a palette over on this side. So I've got some Inktense blocks from a 24 set. And I've also got a combination of clean colour and Brushables pens to create a more detailed palette. And I have a white gel pen to use for the froth in the sea. And also some other Inktense pencils that I've used to sketch the background. And it's a good idea to use watercolour or Inktense pencils for this purpose, because as you start to work over your page, your outlines will actually start to blend into your painting. So let's get started. Now I'm going to work from the top down, but you could work in whichever way suits your photo better. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to the colours that I'm going to be using. Now all I've done is literally drawn my Inktense blocks on my palette, and I'm just adding little blobs of water. I'm just going to add a little tiny bit to our watercolour that we have over here, and that just reactivates the colour. I have some water brushes, which is where we have a barrel filled with water, as well as some normal brushes. So let's get started. If you do have any questions about the colours that I'm using, please pop them in the live chat, and I'm sure Ian will go through slowly and add them as and when. So I'm currently using the half blue one that you've got the other end for. I think you have the number. Oh no. So you're looking at 1200. Now what you're going to want to do is just add a little bit more water to that, because Inktense are really strong colours. And if we look at our photo, it's actually really quite soft and pale. Also going to add a little spritz of just clear water to my palette, and that will just help me have a clean brush ready and dampened so that we can blend it out. So you're going to want to put your darkest colour right on the horizon, and you're probably best at this point to work in layers. So as you can see, we're starting to soften our line, and then we're going to just start to blend that line back out. Again, we've got our dot just there, but we're going to continue that line across. If you find you haven't got quite enough colour, just dot a little bit more back in and blend it out.
So the top one's like a goldy sort of colour.
It's this one.
Yeah, it doesn't have a number because it's all worn out.
Oh,
But I
my
guess
fault.
I'm going for 1800 because it goes in sequence. So it's not on that one either, just as in. What colour would you say it was?
It's like a tanny colour. Just gone back into the ink. Go up against this line again, deepening the colour. And then we're going to start looking in through our photo at some other tones that we've got. So we've got like a bit more of a basic blue just popping through. So I'm just going to add that in. And this is using the Brushables pen. And then that will start to slowly blend back to the Inktense that we already have in our brush. There are little spots of the sand as well, so we can just pick some of that up on our brush and blend that in as well. And you're going to want to look to see where your photo finishes off, because you're going to want to blend that up. And don't forget to go over your line. Just blending it with plain or clear water. And while you still have the same colour on your brush, you're going to want to do the other side to match. Again, we're just going to take our wet brush and just drag it through. And then we can line our photo back up and just see how it's matching up. We need to go a little bit darker. And you're just going to want to pay particular attention to your edges so you don't get any odd shapes occurring from your brush. Remember that you only really need to worry about keeping your horizon line straight. I'm just going to add a bit more blue just up here. you want to, you can do the occasional little touch direct with your pencil. There you go, if you want to pop up the details of the pencil. And I'm just going to blend those back in with the water brush. Once the layer is dry, we can add in highlights using a white gel pen. And I'm just going to add a bit more blue to this side as well. Again, just blend it out. And then we can start to go to our next band of colour. So basically what I've done with each section is noted a rough line for each section to go through. So this next section is like a sort of grey with sand, with the tiniest hints of blue. So I've already put together a grey palette and a brown palette so that we can dip between the colours, as that is how we are going to create the effect of having water going over the sand. Need a bit more pigment in that. But it won't hurt to have the area already wet. You can go direct to your block as well. And again we can go back to our tanny colour just to put in the hint of the same colour. By keeping a close palette like this, it will make our layout look very harmonious towards the end. I'm just going to go a little bit darker towards these edges, and then we can blend it out. And you're going to want to do the same on the other side. To put in a little bit more of this sort of lilac-y colour as well, so it comes across in bands. And we can even bring in our brushable and start to do some direct paper work with it. Do you want to list the pens as well? I'm just going to put in a little bit this time, just close to where our froth is going to build up. And now we're going to want to bear in mind where we're going to want to use our gel pen as opposed to where we're going to work with the colour underneath. So we're going to be using much paler versions of the colours. You're going to want to leave the lightness up towards the top to give an indication of the waves falling over. So every so often you'll leave a little indication of which way the water is falling. You might even start to include a little bit of that blue colour back in. Don't worry if you do get some little pigment areas. Now these areas are a lot darker just here, so we can start to show that in the pigmentation of our paint. If you do need quite a bit more pigment, it's a good idea to go straight from the block. And again, then we've got the foam just coming out from underneath that area, so we can go back to our line here and blend that in. And again, it's all about wetting this area to start with and then building up the pigment.
Tonight, will it be a case of going back tomorrow and finish it?
You're probably going to want to let it dry before you adhere too much to the page. So it'll probably be a case of that we paint it tonight and then we'll put up the finished version tomorrow up on the social media. So that'll be up on Facebook and Instagram.
Place the general layout and show people what we're going to do, can't we? We can place the general layout.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to bring in some of this colour here because we need to bring a bit more warm tone. So what I'm going to do actually is bring in our brushable and we can go straight to our page. You may want to also add some further detail once your actual layout is dry as well. So for instance, this section that I'm doing now is very gritty and rocky, so you'd probably want to come back and add in some more features. So hence I'm just stippling this, because you want to give that impression of having the texture. Same with where the water falls over as well. You don't want it to have too harsh a brush line. You want it to look like the water's actually splashing rather than being a solid object. Then we've got like a sort of smooth grey bit here where we've obviously got some water gathered. So I'm just going to work a bit more blue in. And I'm going to go with the way this actually lies, just to blend it out, because then if it does pick up our brush marks, it actually ties into the photo. And again, we'll just draw through a few hints of that same tan colour, because it is still going over uneven sand. And again, we can use that just to strengthen this feeling and perspective that we have. And then finally we get back to our lighter sand colours. This is where you're going to want to have lots of paint made up in advance. So I'm literally going to use our tan colour to provide a base, and then I'm going to introduce colour into it. So again, you're going to want to brush your colour back over that same spot that you just done to blend it all in. And I've included some markings here, that's with seaweed. And I'm going to come back to the brushable, and I'm going to draw some more on my palette. Need a bit more than that. So we can start to actually just, when you're working with wet paper, just bear in mind you don't want to put any pressure behind your pen whatsoever. And then as you take your brush back over it, just think slow and steady wins the day. I'm rushing a bit too much, but that's because I'm on here. So again, we're taking our colours over our edges. If you do find your pen starts to dry up, you can either stick it back in your cleaner. Huh? Bunny rabbit. A horse, kingdom of a horse. And then we can start to be a bit more abstract with how we apply colour, because you're going to have seaweed scribbling over the top. Start to change tack a little bit. Just so we can go for some stronger areas of colour. The water brushes are great for when you're painting on the move, but they can be a bit of a nightmare if you're trying to get really strong, vibrant colour. Try not to leave too many brush marks in, or it can start to look a bit scribbled. Just going to add a bit more water. It's a good way of getting inky fingers, this. So you're looking to have the main bit of your colour just here, and then we're going to fade out gradually towards the bottom, because then you're going to be wanting to add details into your foreground, and you don't want to have your background colour competing. Any questions?
No. It's very quiet tonight.
Oh dear. Talked everybody asleep. So I'm just going to use some plain water to take the colour out of the brush.
Relaxing, therapeutical.
Yeah. A bit more water than that. And these colours back through so there's not too much of a line. I'm just doing some cross brush strokes as well, so it doesn't look like we've been painting the walls rather than painting a picture.
More fun painting the wall. reason on the camera.
Oh.
Seems to be alright. Come back to it.
Bizarre. You want to pay particular attention to your corners. I'm just going to turn my page upside down just so I can do the sky section here. Again, I'm just going to squirt some clean water. And we've got our little notch there, so we know that we need to continue the sky colour straight the way across. Again, I'm going to go back into my water. I'm going to pick up some of this lovely blue colour, just to blend it in. Thank you for that. Just going to get a microfiber cloth and just blot the little splotches of water that we do have left. And we can come in with a finer brush and do some details. don't be forgetting that some of this detail will actually be covered up by a photo, so you don't have to be photorealistic in any sense. And I'm just continuing the path down this way so that we're continuing our radial perspective. And you're going to want to try and do it so that your colours actually fade away down towards the bottom of your layout, because you want to keep your eye up in this corner. So if you need to go back and add in a bit of stronger colour when it's drying, you can do. And don't be afraid to go back to your underlying colours just to help blend. Especially if you have areas showing through that you think need more pigment. Okay. Now what you're going to want to do is set this to one side, preferably with a heavy weight on top, and then we can let that dry before adding more detailing to it and finally finishing it off with our photographs. So be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see the finished layout, and if I just very quickly show you, I'll end up slotting in there like so. And then we'll have our 3 photos like that. And there's going to be some washi tape as well as some chipboard pieces. But all the references will be on our social media so that you can copy the layout. And don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe for the next time that we broadcast, when I'll be starting my I Am journal. So get a small journal ready to go, and we hope to see you then. Keep an eye on our events for finding out when that will be going live. See you soon. Bye!